Welcome to Storywise. I'm Eric Beach. Today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the last book I finished, which is The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. Apologies if I pronounced that wrong. But this is the book that I just finished, The Remains of the Day. It is a Nobel Prize winning book, the second that I've read in 2 months, I think. I can't remember when I did Beloved or Beloved. Not sure how to pronounce it. But it's the second one I've read. That is a Nobel Prize winning book. And it is the second book I did not like that has won a Nobel Prize winning book. Unfortunately, the trend continues and it does make me nervous. No, it doesn't make me nervous. It makes me question, what's wrong with me? Is there something wrong with me? Because I don't like these books. And I don't think that there is. And I want to talk about that more than the specifics of this book. I will point out a few things that didn't jive with me and why I struggled. But it's more important to me to do the conversation around the inner monologue, the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, all of those things that come along when we read certain books, and that can threaten to ruin our experience with reading. And one of the goals of this channel is to develop creative resiliency, and that includes in the consumption of art, whether it be paintings or music or books or movies. When we are investing in creativity, we have to consume creativity to create our own creativity. That was a lot of weird logic. It does make sense though, because if we're reading books, if we're viewing art, we're watching movies, we're going to concerts, we're listening to music, we're assessing them, all the while we are influencing our unconscious mind so that when we go to create, we've given ourselves a little education. It's almost like a college we attend ourselves privately. And if we get in a wrong path mentally, it can throw that whole process off. So the remains of the day. My critique is my own. My experience is my own. I know this is a beloved book, and even on the back it says an intricate and dazzling novel. And I don't think that was my problem. I didn't pick up on the interesting dazzling. I was too bored in reading it to get dazzled. That does not mean I'm saying the writing was not expert, that his story was not well fleshed out. It was a story, but not every story is going to land with every person, and this one just didn't interest me. And part of that was just the voice he wrote in. This voice of the butler going on this trip to, essentially have his world view of what he thought was good kind of question and what is greatness and all this. His voice just didn't capture me. I just could not focus on the page. And that's not that he was a bad character. He just wasn't a character I could connect with. So if you're sitting with someone and they're telling you an interesting story, if they're telling you in a way that doesn't connect with you, very monotone, let's say, or they're too all over like this, no matter what it is, there's going to be someone who can listen to that story and someone who can't. Because I hear a lot of people talk about that they just want the information and it can be very plainly given to them and it can be very peaceful and calm and serene. And that's going to just influence them. They're going to be so drawn in because as the quieter they speak, the more it draws them in to listen. And then there's people who just want bang, bow, boom, all crazy stuff and just action. And that's okay, but that's going to overwhelm the people who want the quieter tone. There's people who want more philosophical stuff and who love the poetry of a Shakespeare or things of Plato and things of these sorts. Even if it's self-help or if it's fiction, they want a certain voice, and that is okay. I just happen to not like this voice where it was very proper English. I do like movies like this. I love the butler character, which is why I thought I would love this. I just don't like to read a butler character. That's a good thing to know, because in the future, I'll be aware of it, so I probably won't read titles that are about a butler's experience, but have butlers in them. Absolutely. I've enjoyed those characters. Even in the Kings of the Wild, there was a character who was a zombie or an undead. I forget what he preferred to be called. He was like a butler. He was like C-3PO. Not that C-3PO is a butler, but there was a certain tone in the voice and a quality of the way he presented himself and the character in Kings of the Wild presented themselves that make me happy. But there's a slight cheekiness to that air. And this is very, very straightforward. He actually is trying to develop the ability to banter because he thinks that's what his new boss wants him to do, because that's how he likes to talk. But this dude doesn't like it. So he's like, well, to be a great butler, I have to speak like my boss, master. I don't know. I forget what they call him, but what he likes, so he can emulate that for him. One thing that I did not like, and this is just a preference thing, is the pages, like this is a really good example, are a block. There is not much indentation here. And I know authors do that, and I can't tell if this is one of those ones where they play with spacing between words so that it happens that way. I'm not too into the how things are done. But one thing I will give it credit for, whether it was intended or not, that spacing on the page, that blockiness, made it feel very much like a butler would want their page to look very nice, even, tidy, not all these like jagged jumping in indentations all over the place. So the margins being that way is very reminiscent of a butler. Again, I don't know if that's what he intended, but it's something that impacted me. So even in books that I don't like or I don't connect with, I'm still pulling something out of it. And that's something I think we can all do. We can at least appreciate the skill that went into making it, because when you don't like something, it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that you couldn't get into it. You weren't the audience for it. But everything, every experience, every exposure, we can pull meaning out of, we can pull inspiration from, we can appreciate, even if we don't appreciate the totality of the creation. And at the start of the book, there was a moment that gave me hope that I could get into it, but it was related to the side characters. There's interaction early on in the book, in the first, 25 pages, I think, where he's going to go on this tour and he wants to climb to every hilltop and view England. And so he gets to the first one, and this guy is walking by, and he has this really odd conversation about not going up this one, saving it for last because it's the best view in all of England. And so there's a character quality in that guy that was funny to me that I enjoyed. So I was like, oh, cool, they're going to have some fun side characters. But he was the only one that I really felt that with. But it did make me appreciate the inner conflict where it's, do I go up and look at this view now, the best one, and then everything is going to compare, or do I wait and save it for the end? But then the guy's like, but if you die before you come back, then you'll have missed it completely. So that is a philosophical question, but it's the only one that I really picked up on that made me think. And so part of my struggle with the book was getting that here at the front, and then that promise not falling on my ears later. And maybe it did to everybody else. And again, I just didn't pick up on it, or I knew it and it wasn't challenging to me to think about, but that one made me think. And I do like when a book can make you think that way. I just don't want a fiction book personally to make me think all the time about these things. And that might be what people loved about the book. I don't know. I didn't read any reviews of why people loved it so much. Actually, like in Beloved, I went out and, because I DNF'd it, and I tried to understand, and oh, this is a story arc, got it, cool. But with this one, I didn't feel a need to, because it felt fairly clear to me. But maybe I should go look and see what I missed in it, and maybe you can tell me if there's something like a scene that I should go back to and reread it, because it really is a powerful moment of contemplation and revelation. But maybe not. I don't know. All I know is that it's not one that I am going to read again ever. I didn't really feel up to that. Beloved, I can work back to, because I understand the complexity of that one. There's a payoff there for me, but this one didn't have a payoff. Although the intricate and dazzling novel, maybe that is a keyword that I should avoid in the future, because I don't want that. I like stories that are not obvious, but I also like to be led on a little bit more, infer what I want to. More about the psychology of humans is more of my interest. I do understand that. I do like a little bit of mystery where I have to think of things for myself or put my own meaning into it, but I much more have preferred being inside the mind, whether I'm like in Ships of Magic, I'll get into, did it really well, the best I've ever read, which is the next book I finished. I have a lot to say about that book and how they did that. And that was like the perfect blend of certain things that got me thinking and got me engaged, where I was like, what's wrong with you, dude? You know, and that felt good. I haven't quite had that experience yet, so I'll save that. I want to start talking about it now, because it's been such an amazing read so far, even though it's been challenging and there's negatives too. Not in the writing, but the way it's formatted. Anyway, I'll get into it in the next video probably. Remains of the day. Thank you for the time we spent together, but it just wasn't right. It wasn't meant to be. It's not you, it's me. I know we say that a lot, but it truly wasn't you. It was me. We just weren't meant to be together. And for that, I'm sorry, you know. I don't do this because I don't want to like books, but this one just wasn't for me. Respect to the author, professionally done, beautifully written and phrased, just not a song I wanted to hear. And that's another part that I'll end with. Just because a song is wonderful doesn't mean you want to hear it. There's different genres, there's subgenres for a reason, because on our journey, we're trying to look for the voices that resonate deeply with us. And if one doesn't, it's not a measure of you being a good or bad person, you being intellectually inferior or anything like that, or too superior too, to enjoy this. It just means that you want to hear a different song. And there's so many books out there, so many songs being written on the page. go and find the ones that you enjoy, but don't maybe get in the habit of vilifying the ones that you don't. Because I've seen more videos recently about people that talk about why these books are terrible, why they're overhyped, and just really not in a kind way, but like a really aggressive way where it's like, this is trash. I'm like, man, I don't believe it's trash. Some might be, but I'm pretty sure most of the books that I've read that I don't like, even if I didn't like the book a lot, unless it was just smut kind of stuff, I could say, well, that's trashy, but that's serving a completely different purpose than what I'm reading books for. So even then, I'm still not going to vilify them. I don't think we should. I think we should just recognize that we're looking for something different and move on. I'm not going to date someone and say that person's trash because we didn't get along. And yes, I suppose there's cases where that is true, where it was like a really, really bad situation. I've never experienced that personally in a relationship, but that is the minority of the cases. So when that becomes the majority voice or your tone to judge something so harshly, it just takes everything down. It even discourages people from creating because they don't want their creation to get in their hands and be told how trashy it is, how garbage it is, and oh my God, they let anything into the industry anymore. Rant complete. I won't get into that. I'm not educated enough to really speak deeper on that. I've just seen trends, and usually those trends can be off-putting or encouraging, and it just feels like we have too much negativity in our own lives that we have to deal with. But to go out and consume more of that unnecessarily just feels like really, that's what you want to spend your time with? Like, no, I'm not toxic positivity. There's negativity for sure. I just don't need to ingest more of it because I'm already mean enough to myself in here. I'm already fearful enough in here. I don't need more reasons to feel that way. So I'm not going to put anything like that out ever because that's just not what I care to sow into the universe. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next one. But until then, journey well, my friends.